Imagine someone in your life who thrives on control, who feeds on your reactions, who manipulates your emotions like pieces on a chessboard. Now, imagine looking at them one day and realizing you no longer care. Your silence, your indifference, becomes a weapon far more powerful than any argument or confrontation. That moment, when a narcissist finally sees that you are untouchable, is when the game changes. It's not about revenge. It's about reclaiming your power, your peace, and your life. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what happens in that moment and why your freedom is the ultimate victory. Imagine someone who has always controlled your emotions, dictated your reactions, and thrived on the chaos they created. They've built their world around the idea that your feelings, your attention, your approval are theirs to command. But what happens when that control slips through their fingers? What happens when you look at them and, for the first time, no longer care? The shock that hits a narcissist in that moment is profound. They are not used to resistance. Their carefully constructed world of manipulation begins to crumble, and they are forced to confront something they never anticipated. They are not indispensable to your happiness. When a narcissist realizes you no longer respond, it's like looking into a mirror they cannot break. They are confronted with the truth they have spent their lives avoiding, that they are not the center of your universe, that your peace and autonomy are beyond their reach. Their power, which once seemed absolute, suddenly feels fragile. That illusion of control they wielded so effortlessly is gone, and with it comes a sense of panic. They may lash out, trying to reassert dominance, but the truth is undeniable. Your independence is now untouchable, and their usual tactics, guilt, anger, charm, are ineffective. You might notice them testing boundaries in ways that are subtle or overt. They might escalate, hoping to provoke a reaction, desperate to remind you that they exist. But your calm, your refusal to engage, becomes a force far stronger than any manipulation. Your silence is not weakness, it is strategy. The very thing they depended on to maintain their sense of superiority, your emotional energy, is now withheld. And as they scramble to regain control, you are free to observe, to learn, and to grow without being dragged back into their storm. In that moment, you begin to see the depth of their fragility. The narcissist cannot bear rejection because their identity is built on the affirmation of others. When you stop providing it, their ego trembles. They may project, accuse, or attempt to distort reality, hoping to make you doubt yourself. But your clarity, your unwavering focus on your own life, exposes the emptiness behind their bravado. You are no longer a player in their game. You are a spectator watching someone wrestle with a truth they are not prepared to face. The beauty of this shift is that it is irreversible. Once you reclaim your emotional autonomy, the narcissist's control loses its grip forever. You do not need to punish, argue, or explain yourself. Your freedom is your power. The shock of losing control teaches them nothing about you. They only learn that their influence is meaningless against someone who values themselves. And in that realization, you hold the ultimate victory, not over them, but over the part of your life that allowed them to have power in the first place. Your calm, your boundaries, and your indifference are more powerful than any confrontation ever could be. When a narcissist encounters your indifference, it's as if they are looking into a mirror they never wanted to see. For years, they have crafted an image of themselves as indispensable, as the center of your world, as someone whose approval defines your value. They thrive on the illusion that your attention, your emotions, your reactions revolve around them. But your refusal to react, your calm detachment, reflects back a truth they have long denied. They are not the axis of your life. That reflection threatens them in ways that anger, charm, or manipulation never could, because it forces them to confront the reality that their power is an illusion. The mirror you hold up does not speak. It does not accuse or shame. It simply reflects reality, and that is far more dangerous to a narcissist than any argument. When they see themselves as they truly are, vulnerable, insecure, powerless over your choices, they may panic or lash out. They might accuse you of coldness, of being unreasonable, or of abandoning them, but these are simply projections of their own fear. Your indifference is not cruelty, it is clarity. It exposes the gap between who they pretend to be and who they actually are, and that exposure terrifies them. They may attempt to regain the narrative by presenting false versions of themselves, by trying to charm or manipulate you into engagement. They may craft apologies, flattery, or over-the-top gestures in an effort to rewrite the reflection they see in your eyes. But no amount of performance can change the truth. Your life does not orbit around their whims. Your independence, your self-respect, your ability to remain unmoved is a light that they cannot dim. And as they struggle to reconcile their reflection with their expectations, you maintain a quiet power that is unshakable. This mirror effect forces them to face their own insecurities, their own dependence on external validation, and their fragile sense of self-worth. You are not giving them the reaction they crave, the validation they need to maintain their self-image. Instead, you are showing them the strength that comes from internal control, from prioritizing your own life over the demands of someone who thrives on manipulation. Your calm presence, your refusal to be drawn back into their drama, becomes a demonstration of authority over yourself that they cannot understand. And in that tension, something remarkable happens. You begin to see them as they truly are, not as they pretend to be. You no longer need to fear their judgment or their tactics because your perception is clear and your boundaries are firm. They are forced to confront the emptiness of their power, and you are free to live your life unburdened by their expectations. The mirror you hold up does not punish, it liberates. It reveals the truth to both of you, that your value, your peace, and your decisions are yours alone. And in that reflection, you claim something far greater than control over them. You claim your own life, your own strength, and the freedom that comes from caring for no one's approval but your own. When a narcissist realizes that you no longer respond to their control, they don't give up immediately. Instead, they begin testing your boundaries, probing for weakness, searching for the tiniest crack that can be exploited. This is not random behavior. It's a calculated attempt to see if your indifference is genuine or if it is just temporary. They may escalate their tactics, alternating between charm, anger, and guilt, each move designed to provoke a reaction. Every word, every gesture is a test, and their desperation becomes palpable because they are confronting a reality they cannot dominate. You may notice them trying to reignite old patterns of manipulation. They might smile, apologize excessively, or shower you with attention as if their charm could undo months or years of emotional independence. They hope that by flattering you, by rewriting the story they created, you will return to the cycle where your reactions feed their ego. They may offer excuses, explanations, or promises of change, but you know better. The test is not about reconciliation. It's about proving to themselves that their control still matters. And when you do not respond, when you remain steady and unshaken, they are forced to confront the truth that their influence over you has ended. Anger is another tool they employ during this phase. When charm fails, they may lash out, hoping that confrontation will provoke a defensive or emotional reaction. They accuse, belittle, or blame, attempting to destabilize you so that the cycle of manipulation resumes. But your power lies in your composure. By not engaging in their tactics, by refusing to react, you remove the fuel that has always fed their sense of superiority. Your calm becomes a mirror, reflecting their own instability, highlighting the futility of their attempts to reclaim control. Guilt is perhaps the most insidious of their strategies. They may frame your independence as cruelty, suggesting that your boundaries hurt them or that your detachment is unfair. This is designed to make you question yourself, to manipulate your empathy into giving them back the power they have lost. But the difference now is that you recognize these attempts for what they are: projection, manipulation, and fear disguised as complaint. You no longer carry the responsibility of validating their ego, and this refusal is a quiet but unbreakable strength. The beauty of this phase is that it illuminates your own growth. While they flail to test the limits of your patience and resolve, you discover the full measure of your resilience. Every attempt they make to provoke you is met with unwavering composure. Every effort to manipulate is met with boundaries that cannot be breached. Their tests only reinforce what you already know. Your independence is non-negotiable, your peace is untouchable, and your life is yours alone. And as they confront this truth, it is not punishment that they experience, but the stark realization that their strategies, their charm, their anger, and their guilt no longer hold power over the one thing they have always sought to control: your reaction. When a narcissist realizes that you are no longer affected by their tactics, one of the most dangerous and telling reactions is silent rage. Unlike the overt anger they sometimes display, this rage is quieter, more insidious, and far more revealing of their inner fragility. It is the rage of someone who has lost control, someone who cannot understand how their usual strategies no longer work. They may withdraw, sulk, or behave in subtle, passive-aggressive ways, hoping to elicit a reaction, to remind you of their presence and significance. But the truth is, this silence is not power. It is panic disguised as composure. The silent rage of a narcissist is often accompanied by a strange kind of obsession. They watch, they analyze, they interpret your every move, trying to figure out why you are unresponsive. Every action you take, every boundary you enforce, becomes a puzzle for them, and they cannot solve it. They are faced with the impossible, someone who is unshakable, someone who refuses to feed their ego or validate their illusions. In their mind, the rules have changed, and the world they thought they controlled no longer operates according to their script. You may notice subtle attempts to provoke guilt or doubt. They might make veiled comments, engage in coldness, or manipulate situations to make you question yourself. It is not about communication, it is about reaction. They are desperate for the spark of emotion that confirms they still matter, and when it doesn't come, their frustration simmers quietly. The silent rage is the sound of someone battling their own inadequacy in the shadows of your strength. Your calm, however, is the unmovable wall that renders their attempts meaningless. What is remarkable in this phase is how clearly it shows the contrast between your autonomy and their dependence. While they stew in anger they cannot express constructively, you move freely, unaffected, and grounded. Your life continues without pause, your priorities remain intact, and your sense of self is untouchable. Their silent rage, no matter how persistent, cannot pierce the armor of your independence, because it is fueled not by you, but by their own fear and insecurity. They are struggling against themselves, not against you. This moment, though uncomfortable, is a turning point. When a narcissist experiences silent rage, it is proof that your detachment works. Your refusal to react, to validate, to entertain their manipulations is the ultimate demonstration of power. It is quiet, steady, and irreversible. You are no longer participating in their game, and in doing so, you show that your energy, your peace, and your boundaries are sacred. While they seethe in the shadows, you are free to reclaim the space and strength that they once tried to dominate. Ultimately, silent rage is not a threat. It is a reflection of your victory. It is the proof that their attempts to control you have failed. It is the moment when their carefully constructed illusions crumble, and they are forced to confront a reality they cannot manipulate. And in that confrontation, you do not act with anger or revenge. You act with calm, clarity, and self-respect. Your indifference is your power, and their rage is nothing more than the echo of their own helplessness. When a narcissist realizes that your emotional energy is no longer theirs to control, one of their most insidious tactics often escalates: gaslighting. They begin to twist reality, distort facts, and question events in ways designed to make you doubt your own perceptions. Everything you once trusted, your judgment, your memory, your instincts, becomes a battlefield for them to reclaim dominance. The goal is not truth. It is leverage. They want to destabilize you so that you turn back toward them, seeking validation where none should exist. Gaslighting can appear subtle at first. a misremembered conversation, a reinterpreted event, or a small lie about something you know to be true can all be used to chip away at your confidence. They may insist that you are overreacting, that you misunderstood, or that your emotions are unwarranted. This behavior is frightening because it is relentless and because it targets something core to your being, your reality. The more you resist, the more determined they become, as though your clarity itself is a challenge to their authority. You may find that their distortions escalate over time. What began as small lies becomes a pattern of manipulation intended to make you question your decisions and your worth. They may suggest that you are too sensitive, that you are imagining problems, or that your boundaries are unreasonable. Every attempt to assert your truth is met with a counter-narrative designed to confuse and destabilize you. But here lies the turning point. When you recognize the strategy for what it is, gaslighting loses its power. Your awareness becomes your shield. The key to overcoming intensified gaslighting is clarity and self-trust. You begin to document, remember, and assert your reality with confidence. You no longer rely on the narcissist's interpretation of events. You hold your own truth. Their attempts to manipulate your perception reveal more about their insecurity than about you. The lies, distortions, and reframing are all acts of desperation by someone who has lost control. Your refusal to doubt yourself, to be drawn back into their web, demonstrates that your independence cannot be undermined by fear or confusion. As gaslighting intensifies, the narcissist may attempt more elaborate schemes, involving third parties, or creating situations designed to provoke reaction. They may whisper doubts, manipulate relationships, or fabricate narratives. But the truth is unshakable. Your calm, your boundaries, and your refusal to engage with their distortions strip their tactics of meaning. Each time you hold firm, you reinforce the reality that you are not their puppet, that your decisions are your own, and that their control over you is gone. This phase is revealing because it exposes the depth of their dependency on your reaction. Gaslighting is never about truth. It is about fear, insecurity, and the need to dominate. When you resist, when you refuse to engage, you send a clear message. Your life is yours, your mind is yours, and your peace cannot be manipulated. The intensifying gaslighting becomes a mirror of their weakness, while your resilience becomes the testament to your strength. You are no longer participating in their drama. You are observing it from a place of unshakable power. Ultimately, as the gaslighting intensifies, it is proof of your victory. The more they try to distort reality, the clearer it becomes that their control is gone. You remain grounded, unwavering, and free. Their lies and manipulations cannot reach you because you have claimed your truth, your clarity, and your independence, and nothing they do can take that away. When a narcissist realizes they can no longer manipulate or control you, their insecurities start spilling outward, and suddenly you become the target of their internal chaos. Everything they feel, fear, inadequacy, shame, is projected onto you in an attempt to shift attention away from their own vulnerability. They may accuse you of being too sensitive, too selfish, or even too cold, hoping that you will internalize their insecurities as your own. What was once their private struggle now becomes your supposed problem, and the intention is clear. If they cannot control you directly, they will try to destabilize your self-perception. Projection often comes with a mix of accusation and blame. They may highlight your actions, your words, or even your thoughts, twisting them into evidence of some fault that supports their narrative. Every minor choice you make can be reframed as a reflection of your supposed inadequacy. In these moments, they are not speaking about you. They are revealing themselves. Their accusations are a mirror of the fears they refuse to face. And the more intense their attacks, the deeper the insecurities they are projecting. It can be unsettling because projection often feels personal. You may catch yourself questioning whether you are, in fact, overreacting or failing in some way. But the power you hold lies in recognizing the pattern for what it is: an attempt to manipulate your emotions and divert attention from their own loss of control. Their projection is not a reflection of your behavior, your worth, or your character. It is the shadow of their own fragility cast onto your life. Understanding this distinction allows you to remain grounded, refusing to absorb the insecurities that are not yours. As their projections escalate, they may begin to create elaborate narratives designed to make you doubt yourself and your decisions. They might insist that your boundaries are unreasonable, that your choices are harmful, or that your priorities are misguided. The goal is always the same: to redirect focus from their incompetence in controlling the situation to your supposed flaws. When you maintain clarity, however, their attempts are exposed for what they are: desperate acts by someone who is losing their grip. Your refusal to internalize their projections is a demonstration of unshakable strength. The beauty of this stage is that it reveals more about them than it does about you. Their fear, insecurity, and need for validation are laid bare, and you are free to observe without attachment. You are no longer reacting to their manipulations. You are simply witnessing the unraveling of someone who thrived on control but can no longer find it. In their attempts to make you doubt yourself, they inadvertently highlight the independence, resilience, and clarity you have cultivated. Ultimately, when a narcissist projects their insecurities onto you, it is a confirmation of your power. They are losing the influence they once had, and their inner turmoil becomes externalized because they cannot bear to face it privately. Your calm, your boundaries, and your self-assurance become a stark contrast to their chaotic projections. You are untouchable in your autonomy, unshakable in your truth, and free from the burden of their insecurities. And in this space, you realize the ultimate victory. The only power they ever had over you is gone, and you are entirely beyond it. When a narcissist realizes that indifference has taken hold, one of the most predictable yet striking responses is the desperate charm offensive. Suddenly, the same person who once demanded attention through manipulation transforms into someone who appears repentant, caring, or even charming. They may shower you with compliments, gifts, or apologies, attempting to lure you back into the emotional cycle they once controlled. But what appears to be generosity is rarely genuine. It is a carefully calculated strategy designed to regain access to your attention, to reclaim the influence they have lost. This phase is as fascinating as it is revealing. The charm offensive often feels almost surreal because it contrasts sharply with the controlling, critical, or manipulative behavior that preceded it. They may be overly kind, excessively flattering, or seemingly self-aware, as though their previous behavior never existed. The key to understanding this tactic is recognizing its purpose. It is not about reconciliation, healing, or personal growth. It is about testing whether your independence is real and whether they can once again manipulate your emotions. Every smile, every gift, every carefully worded apology is a probe, a test to see if they can regain control. It can be tempting to respond to this sudden shift because human nature often draws us toward empathy, forgiveness, or curiosity. You may feel the pull of nostalgia or the hope that they have genuinely changed. But here lies the moment of empowerment. When you recognize that their charm is a strategy, not a transformation, you reclaim the power that once belonged to them. Your response is no longer dictated by desire for approval or fear of loss. It is guided by clarity, boundaries, and self-respect. Their charm cannot manipulate what is firmly rooted in your independence. During this phase, it is essential to observe without reaction. Notice how their gestures, words, and behaviors are carefully orchestrated, aimed at eliciting a response rather than reflecting true understanding. Gifts may be lavish, apologies may be long-winded, and flattery may seem excessive, all because they are desperate for emotional validation. Their attempts often grow more elaborate as they realize the stakes. They are fighting to reclaim an influence they have already lost. Every attempt to impress or lure you is a testament to the power you now hold. What makes this phase significant is that it highlights the contrast between your growth and their desperation. While they scramble to regain your attention, you are grounded, unwavering, and emotionally self-sufficient. You no longer rely on their approval, their charm, or their manipulations to feel whole. Their desperate attempts illuminate their dependency on your engagement, while your calm and detachment illuminate your freedom. You are no longer a participant in their games, you are the observer who has risen above them. Ultimately, the desperate charm offensive is a mirror of their loss, not a reflection of your worth. Every apology, every gift, every flattering word is a sign that your independence is undeniable. By refusing to be swayed, you demonstrate a quiet but absolute strength. You are not manipulated by charm because your power comes from within. You are free, untouchable, and whole. And in this space, the narcissist's desperate tactics are nothing more than proof of your victory over the control they once held. When a narcissist realizes that you are no longer reacting to their attempts at control, their tactics often shift from direct manipulation to something subtler but equally revealing: withdrawal and obsessive monitoring. They begin to retreat, pulling away as if to punish you for your independence, creating an eerie absence meant to unsettle you. But even in withdrawal, their attention does not truly leave. They are watching, tracking, analyzing, searching for any sign that their influence can be reasserted. They cannot stop themselves. Their obsession with control has been replaced by an equally consuming obsession with your life from a distance. This withdrawal is a test, silent but deliberate. They hope that their absence will provoke a response, that you will feel the emptiness they intend to create and reach back toward them. They are desperate for validation, clinging to the illusion that their presence, or even their absence, can dictate your emotions. Meanwhile, they obsessively monitor your actions, your online activity, your social interactions, and even the smallest details of your life, searching for weaknesses or opportunities to re-enter your emotional space. Every post, every interaction, every status update becomes a tool in their desperate attempt to regain control. It is essential to recognize this phase for what it truly is: a reflection of their fear and desperation, not a threat to your autonomy. The withdrawal and obsessive monitoring are born from the realization that they no longer hold power over your emotions. They cannot provoke anger, guilt, or attention as they once did, and their attempts to regain it take on a quieter, more insidious form. Their obsession becomes almost performative, a silent declaration that they are still invested in a dynamic you have already outgrown. You may feel an instinctive urge to respond, to fill the silence, or to explain yourself. This is natural because human empathy often tries to repair what feels broken. But your strength lies in restraint. By refusing to engage, by maintaining boundaries, and by continuing to live your life fully and authentically, you deny them the reactions they crave. The more detached and composed you remain, the more they are forced to confront the truth, that their control is gone, and that your independence is absolute. The obsessive monitoring often reveals more about them than it does about you. It exposes their insecurity, their need for validation, and their inability to tolerate a world where someone exists outside their influence. While they fixate on your every move, you are free to move forward, unencumbered by their projections or expectations. Your life continues uninterrupted, your focus remains on your growth and your peace, and the silent observations of a narcissist cannot alter your trajectory. Ultimately, withdrawal and obsessive monitoring are signs of defeat disguised as strategy. They demonstrate that the narcissist is struggling to maintain relevance in a life they no longer control. Your calm, your engagement with your own reality, and your unwavering boundaries are the ultimate answers to their desperate attention-seeking. The more they monitor and withdraw, the clearer it becomes that your independence is untouchable, and that their influence has faded into irrelevance. You are free, whole, and unshakable, and nothing they do can change that truth. At some point, the narcissist reaches a moment they never anticipated: the ultimate recognition. This is the realization that no matter what tactics they employ, no matter how much charm, manipulation, or intimidation they attempt, your self-respect and emotional independence are immovable. They begin to understand that their influence over you has been permanently severed, and this truth terrifies them. It is not a slow awareness. It is a jarring confrontation with the limits of their power, a moment that exposes their deepest vulnerability. This recognition often comes after a long series of failed attempts, after charm has been rebuffed, after anger has been met with calm, after guilt has found no foothold. They see in stark clarity that their control is an illusion, that the person they once dominated has reclaimed their life and refuses to surrender it again. For a narcissist, this is profoundly unsettling because their identity has always been tied to the manipulation of others. To face someone who is completely unaffected is to confront a truth they cannot process. Your autonomy is unassailable. In witnessing this, they may respond with disbelief, anger, or even attempts to rewrite reality one final time. They might insist that you have changed, that you are being unreasonable, or that the situation is temporary. Yet no words or actions can pierce the armor you have built. Your boundaries, your clarity, and your refusal to participate in their games are immovable, and their recognition of this is both a defeat and a lesson they cannot fully integrate. They realize that the energy they once thrived upon, the reactions, the fear, the dependence, has evaporated. The ultimate recognition is also a testament to your strength and resilience. It highlights how far you have come, from being reactive to deliberate, from being influenced to being independent, from being manipulated to being untouchable. This moment is not about humiliating them or proving a point. It is about understanding the power you hold simply by standing firm in your truth. Their terror is a reflection of the power you now embody, a power that comes from clarity, self-respect, and emotional sovereignty. At this stage, they often attempt one final effort to regain some sense of control, but the outcome is already determined. Their strategies are met with the unyielding reality that you will not compromise your peace. Your calm presence, your grounded nature, and your unwavering focus on your own life are a living demonstration of their defeat. They cannot manipulate what is immovable, and in recognizing this, they are forced to face the limitations of their own influence. What makes this moment so powerful is the freedom it confers. You no longer react out of fear, anger, or expectation. You act from a place of strength and self-possession. Their terror is inconsequential because it does not affect your reality. Your life, your choices, and your emotional boundaries are entirely your own. This ultimate recognition is proof that you have reclaimed what they never truly owned: your autonomy, your peace, and your sense of self. And in that truth, you stand unshakable, free, and victorious, not because of what you did to them, but because of what you refuse to allow them to take from you. The real victory over a narcissist is never about confrontation or punishment. It is not about proving them wrong or demonstrating that you are stronger than they imagined. True victory comes from reclaiming your energy, your focus, and your life. When a narcissist realizes that you no longer care, that their games cannot touch you, their reactions, once so powerful, fade into irrelevance. Your calm, your boundaries, and your independence are the most profound statement you can make. They are forced to witness a power they cannot understand, and that is far more effective than any argument or retaliation. Your power lies in your refusal to engage. Every time you remain unshaken by their manipulations, every time you choose peace over reaction, you demonstrate a control they will never regain. They may attempt to provoke you, to pull you back into cycles of anger, guilt, or confusion, but your detachment is unbreakable. This is the paradox. The more they struggle to influence you, the stronger you become. Your energy, once tied up in their chaos, is now fully yours. And with it, you can create, grow, and thrive in ways they can never touch. The weakness of the narcissist becomes clear in this dynamic. They have always relied on the reactions of others to feel validated, to feel important, and to maintain the illusion of power. When you withhold that reaction, when you refuse to participate in their drama, they are left exposed. Their power is entirely dependent on your engagement, and once you disengage, their influence collapses. What they once used to intimidate or control you now becomes a reflection of their own fragility. Your independence is a mirror that highlights their limitations, and in that reflection, you find freedom. Your freedom is not about revenge. It is about reclamation. It is about taking back the hours, the thoughts, and the energy that were once consumed by their manipulations. It is about standing in your own life with clarity and integrity, without needing to justify yourself to someone who never deserved that power. Each choice you make to protect your peace, each moment you choose calm over conflict, reinforces your authority over your own world. The narcissist's attempts to disturb that peace are powerless against someone who has learned to value themselves above all else. And the most profound truth of all is that your power cannot be taken from you. No charm, no manipulation, no display of anger or guilt can undo the inner strength you have cultivated. Their reactions, once so threatening, now pass through you like shadows without substance. The ultimate lesson is simple yet transformative. When you stop giving them access to your mind, your emotions, and your energy, their control dissolves completely. Their weaknesses become visible, and your strength becomes undeniable. So let them watch, let them try, let them wonder why their influence no longer matters. You do not need to prove anything because the proof is in your life, calm, grounded, and fully your own. The real victory is not in their defeat. It is in the freedom you have claimed. Your power is unshakable, your boundaries are absolute, and their reactions, once terrifying, are now powerless. You are untouchable because your energy, your focus, and your life belong entirely to you. And that is a triumph no narcissist can ever take away.